Hey guys, before I get into the video, I just want to let you know that this week I will be breaking down the All 22 film from Illinois versus Kansas. I will be doing a video breaking down every single detail that I noticed on the film, watching through it all, who to look out for, etc. So stay tuned for that this week. Also, I'll have Sonny Verma on from the Illini cast and Locked On Illini tomorrow on our live stream at 6 p.m. Central to break down the game and give you some insights from the Illinois side as well. So stay tuned for those. But today, what I wanted to do today is I want to get into a little bit of where Nebraska stacks up in some of these rankings versus the rest of the Big Ten. Now, I wanted to use the Kelly Ford rankings today. It's something I haven't used before, but I do follow. And, say what you will about each individual ranking. We each have our feelings about them, but I'm going to dive into just kind of where Nebraska stood coming into the season, where they stand now, and where they stack up against the rest of the Big Ten. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive. All right. And just since I'm bad at asking this, if you don't mind dropping a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think as well. It really helps me out with YouTube and the algorithm. So thank y'all so much for everybody who joins the conversation with me down there, drops a like, leaves a comment. I appreciate you. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into it. So right here, what I have is I have the preseason Kelly Ford rankings from July 2nd, I believe this was. Now, looking over here, whoops, there's Scott Frost. Let me go back to where I was here. All right. So looking at the preseason rankings here. So we got the rank of our projection for this year, right? And this was preseason 40th, 104th in terms of offense, 6th in defense, 110 in special teams. And this is the overall rating. Okay. Now coming down here, let's look at 2023. So the ranking, they expected to improve by 19, 104, 120 last year, 6 and 6. Okay. And 110, 110. So not too much changes on the defensive special teams, mainly the offensive side of the ball. Now let's go ahead and move forward to where Nebraska stands current day. Okay. So here's currently where they stand at 3-0. Now you'll see here that the current rankings a little bit off of where they expected, better than where they expected coming into the season. The offense is 48 in terms of rating, where the average is 50 across college football. Moving over into the rank that's 70, defense and it was projected 104 in the offseason. So defense coming over 97 rating, improved from what they expected. Right now sitting at number 3, and I'll dive into the specific rankings of offense and defense and overall as well, so you can see where Nebraska stacks up against the top 2. Special teams here, you see a 17 rating, which is 113th. So that is the one thing that's lower than was expected. Okay. Now moving over into just kind of looking forward at the rest of the schedule real quick. We see Illinois. We got our win percentages in this column right here. So our win percentages are right here. And so you'll see Illinois right there. So they have a 23rd ranked defense compared to the 3rd ranked defense of Nebraska. Offense is 77th, special teams 27th. Okay, so 67% projection for Nebraska to win that game. Now coming over into Purdue right now ranked 87th overall compared to Nebraska's 26th, 103 defensively, 88 offensively, 58 special teams. Okay, so Rutgers was another team that's going to be a big challenge for Nebraska. Just right there with Illinois, you see 51-49, 66-67. And a lot of similarities in just how across the board they are. You see 23 defensively, 33 defensively for Rutgers, 77 offense for Illinois, 73 for Rutgers. Kyle Monangai is a problem at running back for Rutgers, though. And so you see that Illinois here will be a good preview as well for Rutgers, seeing how this has shaked out so far and how these ratings have turned out. Very, very similar teams in terms of that, different in terms of style and how they play, which I'll get into as the week gets on and as we get into other games this season. Now, moving over to Indiana. Now, this is where I start to kind of draw a line here. So Indiana win percentage to beat Indiana is at 41%. Okay. Now, Indiana comes in and ranked the number 23 team. Nebraska's 26th. Their 30th defense, 35th in offense, and 18th in special teams. Now, special teams is really what's holding Nebraska back a lot in these rankings. But just looking at this, so Nebraska's offense is 70, defense 3, 30, 35. Now, the one thing about Indiana and Kurt Signetti and that team, right? They brought in a bunch of transfers from James Madison, okay? And Indiana is a good team. Don't get me wrong. They are a good team. However, I think the teams that are going to cause Nebraska the biggest issues are the physical teams. Illinois, Rutgers. I don't think Indiana is physical enough right now to beat this Nebraska team. I think this Nebraska team can wear Indiana down. I do think Indiana's good. Don't get me wrong. However, I just think Nebraska's built to win Big Ten games against a team like Indiana. Okay. We'll see how the season shakes out as Indiana goes along. But I think this is a little bit of a stretch here, giving Nebraska only a 41% chance to win that game. Now, coming down to Ohio State. Ohio State, probably the best team in the country, in my opinion. 5% chance to win that game. Look at Ohio State's defense. They are number one. Nebraska's number three. So now you see there's one team in between there. We'll get into that in a second. Offensively, 12th for Ohio State. Special teams, 38. 5% chance to win that game. I think that's pretty fair. Of course, I would give us a better chance than 5%. However, it's not crazy high. Ohio State is just one of those teams built for the title. They're built to win this year, especially. So tough game there no matter what. Looking at UCLA, 81% chance. And I think this might even be better than 81%. Rank 75 currently, 62 defensively, 93 offensively, and 86 in special teams. So consistently pretty bad across the board. Deshaun Foster's got his hands full over there at UCLA this year. And we talked about him talking at Big Ten Media Days and thought maybe he was a better coach than Tucker. So far, not the case. UCLA looks very, very bad. Moving over to USC. Now, USC is an interesting one for me, right? Because USC comes out against LSU and has a big game, right? And then, their defense shows out in that game, and then they come out and they have, a terrible opponent they play against, and they shut them out week 2. Now, if you look at the LSU team that USC beat, now that LSU team nearly lost this weekend and honestly did not look good. Okay. So they haven't looked good. So take that for what you will. The LSU team that they beat coming into the season, again, that's preseason rankings. We feel a certain way about those. Those are kind of it's just something to talk about in the preseason, right? So LSU coming in ranked against USC and then winning that game closely. I don't know how good LSU is. So I don't know how big that win is. But I will say USC is a very good team. Miller Moss is an excellent quarterback. D'Anton Lynn's got that defense playing at a much higher level. I mean, much higher level than 100-something that they were ranked last year. Now, looking at the defensive rankings here, he's got him 52, right? So 52. And I said if USC gets their defense in the top 60, right, they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be a problem in the Big Ten, especially with how underrated Miller Moss is. So 23% win% chance there. I do think that I would give this more of I would say probably right now I'd have this almost as a 50-50 game. I think Nebraska's physicality can win the day versus USC, but USC's got a physical defense. All things considered, D'Anton Lynn has that defense firing, and they are a physical defense. So USC becomes a very, very interesting game on this schedule, as it has been, but it's getting more and more interesting as time goes along. Wisconsin, 70% chance to beat Wisconsin here. Now you see the rank here, 56 for Wisconsin, 29 defense, 96th offensively, 75th in special teams. Wisconsin does not look good in year 2 under Luke Fickell. Very different style of offense that he's trying to run there. And so far, it just has not lived up to what they expected in year 2. So, of course, they lost Tyler Van Dyke. So we'll see how that goes. But without their starting quarterback, that's going to be tough sledding for them. He's out for the season, confirmed today. Moving over to Iowa. Now, we've seen Iowa. They've had their struggles as well. This win percentage here right now at 46%. Don't necessarily agree with that. But again, special teams is something that's holding Nebraska back in these rankings as well. So 46% chance to win that. You got 27th ranked overall for Iowa, 26 for Nebraska, 2nd ranked defense. So there's that number 2 defense, 102 in offense and 26 in special teams, right? So we see that there. And now the win totals over here, 7.8, 4.2 to 7.8. So you see the change went from 61% here in terms of getting greater than 8 wins or 8 wins or more. Now coming over to this side, you look at the conference wins and it's between 4.2 and 4.8, whereas earlier in the preseason, 5.1 to 6.9 for overall. So that is a jump of almost a full game. Then conference goes from 4.4 to 4.6 to 4.8, 4.2. So a little bit of a change there, but nothing too drastic, except in the overall win column. So let's go ahead and move over to let's go ahead and slide over to the offense and defensive rankings here. Actually, let's go to projected um, the points per game above or below the FBS average. So you can see where Nebraska stands in terms of offense. So let me slide over to that one for you. All right. So here we go. And these are, again, points per game above or below the FBS average. Power ratings is purely predictive. I can't talk. And or forward, not a resume metric. So again, not a resume metric here. And you see where Nebraska stacks up in terms of this, right? 26th overall, 9.5 over the FBS average. And you see Illinois coming in here right here at 4.6. Okay. Now let's see how many people are coming in above Nebraska in terms of that. Indiana right here, Michigan right here. You have USC, Penn State, Oregon, back to back to back, and then you have Ohio State, right? So some good offenses out here, again, albeit against some lesser competition for the most part, but this is where everything stacks out currently as we head into Big Ten play. And I'll update these as the season goes along. But next, let's go ahead and dive into the offense and defensive rankings, okay? So let's go ahead and look at the offense here. Week 4 offensive rankings. So you see that Nebraska's not on here. Now, they have a couple Big Ten teams on here. You see USC right here. Again, great offense over there in USC right now. Oregon. You see Ohio State. And then you have Washington here. Penn State here. Okay, so there's a few teams on the offensive rating. Again, Nebraska, this is a 50 is the FBS average, as you can see up here. Nebraska was at 48. So very, very close to the FBS average. And albeit Nebraska's offense has not played, really knock down, drag them out for the entire 4 quarters yet. They've gotten very conservative the second half, which Matt Rule talked about. Being conservative means you're controlling the game. Okay. So let's go ahead and slide over to the week 4 defensive rankings. Okay. So again, 50 is the FBS average on a 0 to 100 scale. So right now, let's look at Big Ten rules the day defensive right now. And Iowa looks like they have some holes. So we'll see how this defensive rating holds up here. Ohio State coming in at number 1, just an elite defense. They have talent all over at every single level. Just a very athletic defense, tough defense to play against. Iowa coming in at 98, down 1. Nebraska, 97, down 1. Georgia, 97, down 1. Georgia's got their own problems. You see Michigan here. Penn State, Minnesota, and then you slide down a little bit more. Michigan State, Indiana is over here at 30. Wisconsin, Northwestern, Maryland, Illinois. So some good defenses in the Big Ten as we expected. The top 3 defenses coming out of the Big Ten, and those top 2 teams are both on Nebraska's schedule. So just looking how we slash out there, and then just kind of seeing how our rating changed in comparison to last week. So basically what this is if Nebraska outperforms expectation, this will go up based on how much they outperform their expectation versus not. And that's kind of how these rankings work here. Poor Syracuse and Rutgers couldn't even get their colors filled in here. But Nebraska, after last week, they had a +1 increase after the Colorado game, I believe, +0 in terms of this week off of the week 3 performance. Again, not a lot to take away from it. It was a dominant performance. There were some issues, but again, it's nitpicky stuff. This is a 3-0 team in the rankings. We take what we will because we haven't been in this position a long time. And, this team isn't supposed to compete for a national championship, right? This team is supposed to compete for a bowl game. And, potentially right now, people are talking about potentially backdoor playoff. We'll talk about that more as we get into Big Ten play and see how that goes. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a update here, just kind of where Nebraska stands in terms of the Big Ten. I think it would be nice to look forward to what we can expect in Big Ten play now. And then, of course, as things shake out over the course of the season, we will update accordingly. Now, again, coming later this week, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central, I have Sonny Verma on from Locked On Illini. We're going to break down the Illinois-Nebraska matchup in detail. And then I have a lot of film to go over that I'm going to provide for y'all probably Wednesday in a video. And so y'all stay tuned for that. I got a lot of all 22s, a lot of film coming up for y'all over the course of Big Ten play. So yeah, subscribe, turn that notification bell on so you could be, stay up to date whenever I drop those. And yeah, with that being said, I will see you tomorrow in the live stream. Peace.